Sarah Chen never expected her life to change dramatically on a mundane Tuesday afternoon. As a 32-year-old software engineer working from home in the quiet suburb of Meadowbrook, her days usually blended into a comfortable routine of coding, virtual meetings, and evening walks with her golden retriever, Max. The late August sun cast long shadows across her manicured lawn as Sarah stood on her porch, sipping her after-work tea. Her eyes drifted to the house next door, vacant for nearly a year since old Mrs. Henderson passed away. A moving truck had pulled up earlier that day, and Sarah found herself curious about who might be joining their close-knit community. As if on cue, a sleek, charcoal-grey electric car pulled into the driveway. Sarah watched with interest as a tall, slender figure emerged from the driver's side. The new neighbor moved with an oddly fluid grace, their motions almost too smooth to be natural. Sarah blinked, wondering if the evening light was playing tricks on her eyes. The figure turned, and for a brief moment, Sarah could have sworn she saw a shimmer ripple across their skin, like heat waves distorting the air. She shook her head, attributing the strange sight to fatigue from staring at computer screens all day. "Hello there," Sarah called out, deciding to be neighborly. "Welcome to Meadowbrook." The newcomer paused, then slowly pivoted to face her. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The person, if it was a person, had striking features that seemed to shift subtly as she looked at them. Their eyes were an impossible shade of violet, lacking any visible pupils or irises. "Greetings," the stranger replied, their voice a melodious blend of tones that seemed to resonate in Sarah's chest. "I am John Smith. It is pleasant to make your acquaintance." Sarah struggled to keep her expression neutral as alarm bells rang in her head. Everything about this John Smith screamed otherworldly, from their too-perfect appearance to the unnatural cadence of their speech. "I'm Sarah Chen," she managed to reply, her mind racing. "If you need any help getting settled or want recommendations for local services, just let me know." John Smith nodded, a gesture that looked carefully practiced rather than natural. "Your offer is appreciated, Sarah Chen. I look forward to integrating into this community." With that, they turned and walked into the house, leaving Sarah standing on her porch, tea forgotten in her hand. She remained there for several minutes, trying to process what she had just witnessed. Part of her wanted to dismiss it all as an overactive imagination, but a growing certainty in her gut told her that something extraordinary had just occurred. That night, Sarah found sleep elusive. She tossed and turned, her mind replaying the encounter with her new neighbor. Around midnight, a soft, pulsating hum began to emanate from next door. Sarah got out of bed and peered through her window, gasping as she saw a faint, otherworldly glow emanating from John Smith's house. The next morning, Sarah debated whether to share her suspicions with anyone. She knew how it would sound. Claiming her new neighbor was an alien in disguise was a surefire way to be labeled the neighborhood crackpot. Instead, she resolved to observe and gather evidence before taking any drastic actions. Over the next few days, Sarah found herself paying close attention to John Smith's comings and goings. She noticed several oddities. They never seemed to eat or drink. Their car would sometimes hover slightly above the driveway before settling down, and occasionally, when they thought no one was watching, their form would shimmer and shift as if struggling to maintain a human appearance. A week after John Smith's arrival, Sarah's curiosity finally overcame her caution. She decided to invite her new neighbor over for dinner, hoping to learn more about them in a controlled environment. To her surprise, John Smith accepted the invitation without hesitation. As Sarah prepared a simple meal of pasta and salad, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was about to step into something far bigger than she could imagine. She set the table, her hands trembling slightly as she arranged the cutlery. At precisely 7:00 p.m., her doorbell rang. Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever might come next. She opened the door to find John Smith standing there, looking impeccably groomed in a suit that seemed just a touch too perfect. "Good evening, Sarah Chen," they said, their violet eyes seeming to pierce right through her. "I have brought a traditional offering for such gatherings." They held out a potted plant that looked like nothing Sarah had ever seen before. Its leaves shimmered with an iridescent glow, and delicate tendrils seemed to reach out towards her of their own accord. "Thank you," Sarah said, accepting the alien flora with a mix of fascination and trepidation. "Please come in." As John Smith stepped into her home, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that her life was about to change irrevocably. Little did she know that this dinner would be the first step in an adventure that would not only alter her own destiny, but potentially that of the entire human race. The conversation over dinner started awkwardly, with John Smith observing the food with a mixture of curiosity and what Sarah could only describe as scientific interest. They mimicked her actions, taking small bites and sips, but it was clear they derived no pleasure or sustenance from the meal. "So, John," Sarah ventured, deciding to test the waters, "what brings you to Meadowbrook? It's a bit of a change from wherever you're from." John Smith's head tilted at an unnatural angle as they considered the question. "I am here to study," they replied after a moment. "Your world is of great interest to my research institution." Sarah nodded, her suspicions growing stronger by the minute. "And what exactly are you studying?" There was a pause, during which Sarah could have sworn she saw complex calculations running behind those alien eyes. "Human behavior," John Smith finally answered. "Your species is unique in many ways. We find you fascinating." The use of "we" and the clinical way John Smith referred to humans sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. She was about to press further when a series of rapid beats emanated from her neighbor's wrist. John Smith's form flickered for a split second, revealing a glimpse of something decidedly non-human beneath the facade. "I apologize," they said, standing abruptly. "An urgent matter requires my attention. Thank you for the meal and companionship, Sarah Chen." Before Sarah could respond, John Smith was out the door, moving within human speed. Sarah rushed to her window, watching in awe as her neighbor's form shimmered and stretched, transforming into a tall, silvery being that glided across the lawn and disappeared into their house. Sarah sank onto a couch, her mind reeling. She had just had dinner with an alien. An actual, honest-to-God extraterrestrial being was living next door, studying humanity for some unknown purpose. The implications were staggering. As the night deepened, Sarah found herself facing a monumental decision. Should she report what she had seen to the authorities? Would anyone even believe her? Or should she try to learn more, to understand why these aliens were here and what their intentions might be? The soft, pulsating hum from next door grew louder, and Sarah made her choice. She would keep this secret for now, but she would also do everything in her power to uncover the truth behind her alien neighbor's presence on Earth. Little did Sarah know that her decision that night would set in motion a chain of events that would not only change her life, but potentially alter the course of human history. As she finally drifted off to sleep, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if acknowledging the momentous encounter that had just taken place in a quiet suburban home. The adventure was only beginning, and Sarah Chen, ordinary software engineer turned reluctant diplomat to an alien visitor, was about to embark on a journey beyond her wildest imagination. Hidden agenda. The weeks following Sarah's dinner with John Smith were a whirlwind of covert observations and mounting anxiety. By day, she maintained her routine, attending virtual meetings and writing code. But her nights were consumed with watching the strange occurrences next door and researching every scrap of UFO lore she could find online. One crisp autumn evening, as Sarah walked Max along their usual route, she noticed John Smith emerging from their house. The alien's human disguise seemed less stable than usual, flickering at the edges like a faulty hologram. Without thinking, Sarah ducked behind a large oak tree, her heart pounding. John Smith glanced around, those airy violet eyes scanning the quiet street. Satisfied they were alone, the alien pulled out a small disc-shaped device. A holographic display sprang to life, filling the air with strange, swirling symbols. Sarah held her breath, straining to hear as John Smith began to speak in a language unlike anything she'd ever heard before. The words seemed to resonate on a frequency that made her teeth ache. Though she couldn't understand the alien tongue, the urgency in John Smith's tone was unmistakable. Suddenly, Max let out a low growl. Sarah frantically tried to quiet him, but it was too late. John Smith's head snapped in their direction, eyes narrowing. In a blink, the alien was standing before them, moving with impossible speed. "Sarah Chen," John Smith said, their voice carrying an edge of steel beneath its usual melodious tones. "I believe we need to have a conversation." Sarah's mind raced, searching for a plausible excuse. Finding none, she opted for honesty. I know you're not human," she blurted out. "What are you really doing here?" For a long moment, John Smith regarded her silently. Then, to Sarah's surprise, they let out a sound that might have been a sigh. "Perhaps it is time for full disclosure," the alien said. "Come with me." Hesitantly, Sarah followed John Smith back to their house, Max padding along beside her. As they crossed the threshold, Sarah gasped. The interior bore no resemblance to a normal suburban home. Instead, she found herself in what appeared to be the control room of a spacecraft, filled with pulsating organic technology. "Welcome," John Smith said, their forms shimmering and changing. The human disguise fell away, revealing a tall, silvery being with elongated limbs and a head that tapered to a point. "To answer your question, Sarah Chen, I am here as an advanced scout for my people, the Zinka." Sarah's mind reeled as she tried to process the alien's words. "Advanced scout. Are you planning an invasion?" The alien, John Smith, no longer seemed an appropriate name, made a gesture that Sarah interpreted as negation. "Not an invasion, an evaluation. Earth stands at a crossroads, Sarah Chen. Your species' rapid technological advancement has drawn the attention of the galactic community." As the alien spoke, holographic displays sprang to life around them, showing images of Earth from space, along with complex data streams that Sarah couldn't begin to comprehend. "We have been monitoring your world for centuries," the Zinka continued. "But recent developments, your first steps into space, your experiments with artificial intelligence, your growing understanding of quantum mechanics, have accelerated our timetable." Sarah's scientific curiosity began to overcome her fear. Timetable for what exactly? The alien's silver skin rippled, patterns of light dancing across its surface. "For contact, for inclusion in the greater galactic society. But first, we must determine if humanity is ready for such a monumental step." As the implications of the alien's words sank in, Sarah felt a mix of awe and trepidation. And what happens if we're not ready? The Zinka's expression became unreadable. "Then measures will be taken to ensure Earth does not become a threat to cosmic stability." A chill ran down Sarah's spine. "What kind of measures?" "That is not for me to decide," the alien replied. "My role is to observe and report. The Galactic Council will make the final determination." Sarah's mind raced, trying to process the enormity of what she was hearing. The fate of humanity might well rest on the reports this alien sent back to its superiors. How can I help?" she found herself asking. The Zinka tilted its head, regarding her with those unsettling violet eyes. "Your assistance could be invaluable, Sarah Chen. You can provide insights into human behavior and motivations that might elude my understanding. In return, I can offer you glimpses of knowledge and technology beyond your world's current capabilities." As if to demonstrate, the alien waved a hand, and a small object materialized in the air. It was a cube, no larger than a die, that seemed to be made of flowing liquid metal. "This device contains more computing power than all of Earth's supercomputers combined," the Zinka explained. "It is yours, as a gesture of good faith." Sarah hesitated, her hand hovering near the miraculous object. "If I agree to help you, what exactly will I be doing?" "You would be my liaison to humanity," the alien said. "Help me understand the nuances of your culture, the intricacies of human relationships. And in turn, you'll be the first human to learn the true nature of the cosmos. The offer was tantalizing, but Sarah couldn't shake a nagging doubt. What about my life, my job? How would this work? The Zinka made a gesture that might have been a shrug. Your daily routine need not change dramatically. We will communicate regularly, and I may occasionally need you to accompany me on information-gathering excursions. But secrecy is paramount. The time is not yet right for wide-scale contact. Sarah took a deep breath, weighing the enormous responsibility against her burning curiosity. Finally, she nodded. "All right," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll help you." As she spoke the words, Sarah felt the weight of history settling on her shoulders. She was about to become Earth's unwitting ambassador to the stars, privy to knowledge that could revolutionize human understanding of the universe. The Zinka's skin pulsed with patterns of light that Sarah interpreted as approval. "Then let us begin, Sarah Chen. There is much to discuss, and the fate of your world may well depend on our collaboration." As Sarah left the alien's house that night, her head spinning with revelations and her pocket heavy with the impossibly advanced computing queue, she knew her life would never be the same. She was now part of something far greater than herself, walking a tightrope between two worlds. Little did she know that her agreement to help the Zinko would soon plunge her into a web of galactic intrigue, forcing her to confront challenges that would test the very limits of human ingenuity and courage. The real adventure was just beginning, and Sarah Chen, reluctant cosmic diplomat, was about to learn just how high the stakes truly were. Cosmic diplomacy. The following months were a whirlwind of activity for Sarah. By day, she maintained her facade as an ordinary software engineer, but her evenings and weekends were filled with clandestine meetings with the Zinka Scout, whom she had taken to calling Zin for simplicity's sake. Their discussions ranged from the mundane to the mind-bending. Sarah found herself explaining everything from human emotions to global politics, while Zin shared tantalizing glimpses of advanced alien civilizations and cosmic wonders that defied imagination. One crisp autumn evening, as they sat in Zin's disguised spacecraft, Sarah noticed an unusual tension in her alien companion's demeanor. "Is everything all right, Zin?" she asked, her brow furrowing with concern. Zin's silvery form rippled with what Sarah had come to recognize as agitation. "I have received concerning news from the Galactic Council," the alien said, its melodious voice tinged with worry. "My superiors are growing impatient. They believe the time for a decision regarding Earth's fate is drawing near." Sarah felt her heart rate quicken. "But we've barely scratched the surface. How can they make a judgment so soon?" Zin's violet eyes seemed to pulse with an inner light. "The cosmic scales operate on a different timeline, Sarah. What seems rushed to you is considered a lengthy evaluation by galactic standards." "So what happens now?" Sarah asked, trying to keep the fear from her voice. Zin waved a elongated hand, and a holographic display sprang to life between them. It showed Earth, surrounded by a complex network of glowing lines and pulsating nodes. "The Council has decided to send a delegation to Earth for a final assessment," Zin explained. "They will arrive in 3 of your months, under the guise of a diplomatic mission from a non-existent country. Their true purpose will be to interact with humans directly and make a final determination on Earth's readiness for galactic inclusion." Sarah's mind reeled at the implications. But how will we explain their appearance? Their abilities? Won't it cause panic? Zin made a gesture that Sarah had come to interpret as a shrug. Advanced holographic technology would allow them to pass as human. As for their abilities, they will be under strict orders to maintain their cover at all costs. Sarah shook her head, a wry smile playing at her lips despite the gravity of the situation. "You know, a year ago my biggest worry was debugging code and remembering to water my plants. Now I'm helping plan for an alien diplomatic mission. Life really does take some strange turns." Zin's skin rippled in what might have been amusement. "Indeed, and your role is about to become even more crucial, Sarah Chen. The Council has requested that you act as the primary liaison for the delegation." Sarah's eyes widened in shock. Me? But I'm just a software engineer. Shouldn't this be handled by, I don't know, the UN or something? The council believes that you, having worked closely with me, are best equipped to bridge the gap between our cultures, Zin explained. Plus, involving official human governmental bodies at this stage could complicate matters unnecessarily. Sarah took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing thoughts. Okay, she said finally. What do I need to do? Over the next few weeks, Sarah found herself in an intense crash course on galactic diplomacy. Zin told her the intricacies of alien etiquette, the basics of several extraterrestrial languages, and even how to operate some of the more benign alien technologies that the delegation might bring with them. As the date of the delegation's arrival drew near, Sarah's anxiety reached a fever pitch. She had taken an extended leave of absence from work, citing a family emergency. Her neighbors, save for the ever-watchful Mrs. Abernathy next door, barely seemed to notice her comings and goings at odd hours. Finally, the day arrived. Sarah stood beside Zin in a secluded clearing in the nearby state park, her heart pounding as a shimmering distortion appeared in the air before them. With a flash of light that momentarily blinded her, 3 figures materialized. As her vision cleared, Sarah found herself face to face with what appeared to be 3 perfectly ordinary humans. A tall, distinguished-looking man with silver hair, a younger woman with piercing green eyes, and a heavy-set individual of indeterminate gender. Greetings, representatives of Earth, the silver-haired man said, his voice carrying an otherworldly resonance despite its human timbre. I am Xor, lead evaluator for the Galactic Council. My associates are Lyra and Jex. We look forward to experiencing your world firsthand. Sarah swallowed hard, acutely aware that she was likely the first human in history to knowingly greet an official alien delegation. She stepped forward, summoning every ounce of composure she could muster. Welcome to Earth, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. I'm Sarah Chen. On behalf of humanity, though they don't know it yet, I'm honored to be your guide during your stay here. So nodded, a too-perfect smile bracing his features. The honor is ours, Sarah Chen. Now, shall we begin our evaluation? Time, as the humans say, is of the essence. As Sarah led the alien delegation towards her waiting car, she couldn't shake the feeling that the fate of humanity now rested, at least in part, on her shoulders. She glanced back at Zin, who gave her what she hoped was an encouraging nod. The next few weeks would be a delicate dance of cultural exchange, subtle evaluation, and carefully orchestrated experiences designed to showcase the best, and sometimes, unavoidably, the worst, of what humanity had to offer. Sarah knew she was walking a tightrope, trying to present a balanced view of her species while also advocating for Earth's potential. Little did she know that forces beyond her control were already in motion, forces that would soon turn this delicate diplomatic mission into a fight for the very survival of her planet. As she drove the disguised aliens towards the city, Sarah Chen, reluctant cosmic ambassador, steeled herself for the challenges ahead, unaware that the greatest test of human ingenuity and resilience was yet to come. The threat emerges. As weeks passed, Sarah found herself in a surreal balancing act, guiding the alien delegation through a carefully curated tour of human civilization. From the bustling streets of New York to the serene temples of Kyoto, from the cutting-edge laboratories of Xi'an to the ancient wonders of Machu Picchu, she watched as Thor, Lyra, and Jex observed humanity with analytical detachment. Their questions were probing, often uncomfortably so. Why do humans still wage war when it's clearly detrimental to your species' survival? Lyra had asked while they stood before the somber walls of the Holocaust Memorial Museum. How can you justify the vast inequalities in resource distribution? Jex inquired as they walked through a Mumbai slum. Sarah did her best to explain the complexities of human nature, the long shadow of history, and the ongoing struggles for progress and justice. She highlighted humanity's resilience, creativity, and capacity for growth, even as she acknowledged its flaws and shortcomings. One evening, as they sat in a quiet cafe in Paris, Saul fixed Sarah with his penetrating gaze. "Sarah Chen, we have observed much during our time here. Your species is perplexing, capable of both breathtaking beauty and horrific destruction. The Council's decision will not be an easy one." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. "I understand. I just hope you've seen enough to recognize our potential, not just our problems." Before EXO could respond, a commotion outside caught their attention. People were pointing at the sky, their faces masks of confusion and fear. Sarah rushed to the window, her heart sinking as she saw a massive dark shape blotting out the stars above the Eiffel Tower. "No," Saul whispered, his human disguise flickering for a moment. "It cannot be." "What is it?" Sarah asked, her voice tight with fear. Lara appeared beside them, her green eyes wide with alarm. "It's a Vreknor warship, but they shouldn't be here. This sector is off limits for harvesting." Harvesting. Sarah's blood ran cold at the word. Jex joined them, their bulky form seeming to shrink in on itself. The Vreknor are a race of nomadic plunderers. They strip planets of resources, leaving them barren and lifeless. As if on cue, a bone-chilling sound reverberated through the air, a low, pulsating hum that seemed to vibrate at the cellular level. All across the city, lights flickered and died. Cars stalled in the streets. In the distance, Sarah could see faint flashes of light as the alien ship began its assault on Earth's defenses. "We must act quickly," Thor said, his voice carrying the unmistakable tone of command. "Sarah, gather your planet's leaders. We need to coordinate a response." Sarah's mind reeled. "But how? I'm nobody. They won't listen to me." Laura placed a hand on Sarah's shoulder, her touch sending a strange, calming energy through Sarah's body. "You are more than you know, Sarah Chen. You have been chosen for this moment. Trust in yourself." Over the next few hours, as panic spread across the globe, Sarah found herself at the center of a whirlwind of activity. Using the advanced communication technology provided by Xin, she managed to make contact with key world leaders, convincing them of the dire threat facing the planet. The alien delegation revealed their true nature to a select group of human representatives, offering their advanced knowledge to help mount a defense against the Vreknor invasion. Initial skepticism quickly gave way to desperate cooperation as the scale of the threat became apparent. Sarah watched in awe as Thor interfaced with human computer systems, upgrading them beyond their designers' wildest dreams. Laura worked with military strategists, her knowledge of Vreknor tactics proving invaluable. Jex focused on bolstering Earth's energy infrastructure, preparing it to power the advanced weapons they would need to repel the invaders. As dawn broke over a world changed forever, Sarah stood in a hastily assembled war room, surrounded by a mix of human leaders and disguised aliens. The weight of the moment was palpable, the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. "The Vreknor will begin their ground assault soon," Saul announced, his holographic displays showing the movements of the alien fleet. "We've improved your defenses, but it may not be enough. The Vreknor are ruthless and experienced." A grim-faced general spoke up. "Then we'll just have to be more ruthless and more clever. Humanity didn't come this far to roll over for some space pirates." Sarah felt a surge of pride at the general's words. This was humanity at its best, defiant in the face of overwhelming odds, ready to fight for its survival. Laura turned to Sarah, her green eyes seeming to peer into her soul. "Sarah Chen, you have guided us through your world. Now, we need you to guide your people through this crisis. You understand both sides. You can bridge the gap between human and alien, helping us work together to save your planet." Sarah took a deep breath, looking around at the assembled leaders, human and alien alike. She thought of all the wonders she'd seen on their tour of Earth, all the potential that humanity had yet to fulfill. She thought of her quiet life before all this, and how she'd been thrust into a role she never could have imagined. With a sense of clarity she'd never experienced before, Sarah nodded. "All right," she said, her voice steady and determined. "Let's save the world." As alarms blared and reports of the first Reknor landing parties came in, Sarah Chen, software engineer turned cosmic diplomat, turned humanity's unlikely champion, steeled herself for the battle ahead. The next few days would determine the fate of her species and her planet. It was time to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of when pushed to its limits. Little did anyone in that war room know that the greatest challenge and the true test of humanity's worthiness for galactic inclusion was yet to come. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and with it, a new chapter in human history would be written. Battle for Earth. The next 72 hours were a blur of frantic activity, desperate battles, and moments of both heartbreaking loss and triumphant victory. Sarah found herself at the nexus of human-alien cooperation, translating not just words, but concepts and strategies between the two groups. As Reknor ships descended on major cities worldwide, Earth's newly augmented defenses sprang into action. Weapons powered by alien technology fired beams of energy that sliced through the invaders' shields. But the Reknor were relentless, their superior numbers threatening to overwhelm humanity's defenses through sheer attrition. Sarah worked tirelessly, coordinating between military commanders, civilian leaders, and her alien allies. She watched in awe as acts of incredible bravery and ingenuity unfolded across the globe. In New York, a group of hackers, guided by Jex's advanced knowledge, managed to infiltrate a Reknor ship's systems, causing it to crash into the Atlantic before it could deploy its troops. In Mumbai, ordinary citizens formed human chains to evacuate children and the elderly, showing a unity that transcended caste and class in the face of alien threat. But for every victory, there was a heartbreaking loss. London's skyline was forever altered as the Shard toppled under Reknor fire. The Great Wall of China bore new scars from energy weapon impacts. The plains of the Serengeti were scorched by the crash landing of a massive alien craft. As the battle raged into its third day, Sarah found herself in a tense strategy session with Vexor, Lyra, and the highest-ranking human military leaders. "Their main ship is still beyond our reach," General Hawthorne growled, pointing at a holographic display of the massive Reknor mothership hovering in low Earth orbit. "As long as it's up there, they can keep sending down reinforcements." Saul nodded gravely. "The mothership's shields are beyond your current technology to penetrate. Even with our enhancements, a direct assault would be suicide." Sarah, running on caffeine and adrenaline, had been quiet for most of the meeting. But now, a crazy idea began to form in her mind. "What if we didn't need to penetrate their shields?" she asked. All eyes turned to her. "Explain," Lyra prompted. "Well," Sarah began, her mind racing. "Jex mentioned that the Reknor use quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication between their ships, right? What if we could use that against them?" She turned to one of the human scientists. "Dr. Okoye, your team was working on quantum teleportation before all this started, weren't you?" The Nigerian physicist nodded, her eyes widening as she caught on to Sarah's train of thought. "Yes, but we were years away from any practical application. However, with the alien enhancements to our quantum computers, we could potentially hijack their communication network," Saul finished, a note of admiration in his voice. "Use it to teleport a small team directly onto their mothership, bypassing their shields entirely." The room erupted in excited chatter as the implications sank in. It was an audacious plan, fraught with danger, but it might be their only shot at taking out the Reknor command structure. "I'll go," Sarah said, her voice cutting through the noise. The room fell silent. "Absolutely not," General Hawthorne protested. "You're a civilian, Miss Chen. We can't ask you to." "With all due respect, General," Sarah interrupted, "I'm the only one here who's worked closely with both humans and aliens. I understand both sides. If we're going to sabotage that ship, we need someone who can interface with their technology and make split-second decisions. That's me." There was a moment of tense silence before Lara spoke. She's right. Sarah Chen's unique perspective makes her the ideal candidate for this mission, but she'll need a team. Over the next few hours, a plan took shape. Sarah would lead a small team consisting of herself, a Navy SEAL named Commander Rodriguez, Dr. Okoye to handle the quantum teleportation technology, and Jex, whose knowledge of Vrecnor systems would be crucial. As the team made their final preparations, Sol pulled Sarah aside. "Sarah Chen," he said, his voice sullen, "what you're about to attempt goes beyond anything we could have anticipated when evaluating your species. Whatever happens up there, know that you have already demonstrated humanity's potential in ways we never expected." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of not just her mission, but her species' future on her shoulders. "Thank you, Sao, for everything." As she stepped onto the teleportation platform with her team, Sarah took one last look at the command center. She saw humans and aliens working side by side, united in their effort to save Earth. Whatever happened next, she realized, humanity had already proven itself on the galactic stage. Dr. Okoye's voice cut through her thoughts. Quantum entanglement established. Teleportation in 3, 2, 1. The world dissolved into a swirl of light and sensation. When it reformed, Sarah found herself standing in a dimly lit alien corridor. The air was thick and humid, carrying strange, acrid scents. "We made it," Commander Rodriguez whispered, his weapon at the ready. "Then let's make it count," Sarah replied, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. "We've got a planet to save." As they moved deeper into the Vrecnor mothership, Sarah Chen, software engineer, reluctant diplomat, and now leader of humanity's last, desperate gambit, steeled herself for the challenges ahead. The fate of Earth would be decided in the next few hours, and she was determined to give her species a fighting chance. Little did she know that the true test, not just of their mission, but of humanity's worthiness in the eyes of the galactic community, was about to unfold in ways none of them could have predicted. A new era. The interior of the Vrecnor mothership was a maze of twisting corridors and pulsating organic technology. Sarah and her team moved silently, guided by Jex's knowledge and the quantum-linked communications device that kept them in contact with Earth. As they neared the ship's central control node, alarms suddenly blared. "We've been detected," Commander Rodriguez hissed, raising his weapon. "Wait," Sarah called out as Vrecnor soldiers rounded the corner. "We're not here to fight." To everyone's surprise, Sarah stepped forward, her hands raised. "I am Sarah Chen of Earth," she announced in a clear voice. "I seek audience with your leader under the Galactic Code of Pali." There was a tense moment of silence before the Vrecnor lowered their weapons. Sarah's teammates looked at her in shock. "How did you know they'd honor that?" Dr. Okoye whispered. "I didn't," Sarah admitted. "But I remembered something Sol told me about galactic customs. I took a chance." They were escorted to a vast chamber where a towering Vrecnor, its exoskeleton gleaming with bioluminescent patterns, awaited them. "I am Krovac, commander of this fleet," it growled. "Speak quickly, human." Sarah took a deep breath. "Why are you attacking our world? Earth is under evaluation for galactic inclusion. Your harvesting operation here is illegal." Krovac's compound eyes flickered. "Illegal. We received no such notification. Our scouts reported this system as unclaimed." A cold realization dawned on Sarah. She turned to Jex. "The notification buoys. They were supposed to be placed at the edge of our solar system." Jex's form rippled with distress. There must have been a malfunction. The buoys, they never deployed. Sarah faced Krovac again. "This is a misunderstanding. One that has cost lives on both sides. But it's not too late to stop this." What followed was the most high-stakes negotiation of Sarah's life. She drew on everything she had learned from Zin and the alien delegation, weaving a narrative of Earth's potential and the benefits of cooperation over conflict. To her amazement, Krovac listened. "Your species is young," the alien commander said finally, but you show wisdom beyond your years, Sarah Chen. We will withdraw." As the Vreknor fleet began to disengage, she has erupted in command centers around the world. But Sarah knew their trials weren't over. Upon returning to Earth, she found herself facing not just human leaders, but the full Galactic Council, summoned by Xor in light of recent events. "Sarah Chen," Xor announced, his true form shimmering with energy, "you have demonstrated not only the ingenuity of your species, but its capacity for diplomacy in the face of extinction. The Council has reached a decision." Sarah held her breath, acutely aware that the fate of humanity hung in the balance. "Earth will be granted provisional membership in the galactic community," Xor declared. "You have proven your potential. Now, you must prove your commitment to peace and progress on a cosmic scale." The implications were staggering. As the news spread, Sarah watched in awe as humanity began to grapple with its new reality. The existence of alien life, Earth's place in a vast galactic society, the technologies and knowledge now within reach. It was a paradigm shift unlike any in human history. In the months that followed, Sarah found herself at the forefront of Earth's integration into galactic affairs. She worked tirelessly to establish diplomatic relations, facilitate technological exchanges, and help humanity navigate its new role in the cosmos. There were challenges, of course. Some reacted to the news with fear or denial. Religious and philosophical debates raged. But overall, Sarah was amazed by humanity's adaptability and eagerness to embrace its new reality. 1 year after the Vreknor invasion, Sarah stood on a platform in newly constructed Unity Plaza in New York, watching as the first official galactic embassy on Earth was inaugurated. Beside her stood representatives from a dozen alien species, including Xin, Xor, and even Krovak, whose people had become unlikely allies in the wake of the near-disastrous first contact. As she looked out over the crowd, humans and aliens mingling, sharing ideas and cultures, Sarah felt a profound sense of hope. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but elevated. A reporter's question brought her back to the moment. "Ms. Chen, as Earth's unofficial ambassador to the stars, what do you see as our greatest challenge going forward?" Sarah smiled, thinking of how far they'd come and the infinite possibilities that lay ahead. "Our greatest challenge," she said, "is to remember what got us here. Our curiosity, our adaptability, our capacity for growth and change. We must hold onto our humanity while embracing our place in the larger cosmic community." As the crowd cheered, Sarah's gaze drifted to the stars, now filled with promise rather than threat. The adventure, she realized, was just beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and she couldn't wait to see where the journey would lead. In that moment, Sarah Chen, once an ordinary software engineer, now a bridge between worlds, knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them together, reaching for the stars with hope, determination, and an unquenchable spirit of exploration. The new era had begun, and the universe would never be the same.